What's up, guys? Welcome to the Second Take. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jonah.
And this week we got some drama for your mama. So last week was a little bit slow, but this week certainly made up for that. That's basically all this podcast is going to be about. Drama, drama, drama. So for the weekend review, the Warriors got blown out in their first game in Oklahoma City to go down 2-1 in the series. Cavs finally lost, and then they lost again. So now their series is 2-2. Deflategate rages on yet again. Roger Goodell and the NFL look more corrupt than anything out there right now. And the hockey series are heating up, with the Lightning leading 3-2 and the Sharks leading 3-2 as well. So we're going to come out of the gates firing here and get into some new additions to the Dwight Howard saga, which started like 5 years ago and just keeps going on and on and on. So for some background about the issue, Dwight Howard met with the general manager of the Rockets, Daryl Morey, about a week before the postseason started, just to let him know he wanted the ball more and wanted to be a focal part of the offense. And he came out thinking that the answer was no, although that wasn't true. Apparently the answer was, yes, sure, get some offensive rebounds and score, and we'll try to work some sets in for you as well. And then we also find out later on that Dwight Howard says he believes he's a great shooter, but he's afraid to shoot the ball because he doesn't want to let people down. And when he thinks about shooting, he gets bad thoughts in his head about what could happen if he misses, what could happen if it's a terrible shot. So the question is, what is going on here, Jonah?
Well, it seems like part of this, like, Dwight Howard redemption tour we're kind of seeing, where, he's, trying to, make up, PR-wise for, the way his image has been in the last, 3 or 4 years. Basically, since he left Orlando, he's just been kind of a soap opera with the Lakers and the Rockets, and the teams he's been on have had a lot of drama, and not that it necessarily all had to do with him, but it certainly was a factor. And I don't know. I mean, in terms of being a focal part of the Houston offense, he wasn't really a good fit in that offense, I don't think.
Right.
I mean, the NBA is kind of moving away from what he does best, unless he actually is a good shooter, which his free throw shooting makes me think that's not the case. But I think he needs to not be in Houston next year. And I don't know if that will actually come true, but
yeah,
it just doesn't seem like it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be in Houston. I'm almost 90% sure of that. There's been some words recently that he might even go back to Orlando. A little bit of a LeBron James back to Cleveland kind of deal. I don't see a ring coming out of that reunion, but it would be interesting.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I was fully sold on Miami going to get Howard at the trade deadline because of what Whiteside was doing at that point, and because I think Howard can still be a solid piece to a playoff team. Obviously everyone wants the basketball. That's how sports works. Every player wants every touch everywhere, no matter what. They want the spotlight. But he has never shown a post-up game. I mean, he has that little stupid jump hook every now and again, but he's really inconsistent with that. He doesn't even really care to post up because he doesn't try to. He's really just a defensive player with an offensive rebounding ability because he's so big. And I'm fine with that as a center. What more do you really want? Just play defense and get rebounds? That's fine by me. I think...
Right, it's just kind of a big departure from, he was supposed to be the next big thing, the next Shaq,
Right. But Shaq...
with him a few years ago.
Yeah. I feel like that's just a different mindset with the two of them. Shaq was the alpha dog no matter where he went. He went into a locker room with Kobe Bryant and took over the locker room. So Dwight Howard goes into a place and I feel like he cowers in fear in the corner. I don't know. Houston's a terrible spot for him. LA wasn't a good spot for him because Kobe just ate him alive. He needs to go somewhere that he's the alpha dog, but he also needs to go to a playoff team, and I don't think those two go hand in hand. I would hate to see him go to Boston because I think he'd ruin that team. But I still think he's a good player. I mean, he has ability that a lot of teams would want.
I would love to see him go to Detroit somehow and reunite with Stan Van Gundy, the only coach that he's ever had great success under.
Yeah, but your favorite player would have some trouble with that.
Yeah. My my boy Andre Drummond might not appreciate that.
I mean, Drummond is a restricted free agent, so theoretically he could go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, if the Knicks toss him a nice offer sheet, like maybe the Pistons will, let him walk and see if they can get Dwight Howard to Detroit. I'm not ruling anything out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible. And you know how badly Boston wants a star. I could see them getting him too.
Right, that's true. Boston, I mean, there was a lot of Blake Griffin rumors around Boston at the trade deadline, and he ultimately didn't end up getting moved either. Howard doesn't immediately make a lot of sense in the Boston system to me, but I think Brad Stevens is a wizard, and he'd probably find a way to make that work.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of places that could be interesting for him. I heard one rumor about him potentially going back to the Lakers, which is the worst idea I can imagine.
No way.
Even with, easygoing coach Luke Walton, I still don't think it's a good idea.
I really do see him back in Orlando. I think that would work well for both parties, but I don't know that they're not going to contend for anything with that roster, but they would be solid.
They just hired Frank Vogel, which I think is an awesome hire. I think he's a great coach, and I think that he's the kind of guy that can get a lot of power. The problem is, they do have Vucevic already. They're definitely very different type of players, but
yeah, no, it would be, and they couldn't play together either, so it'd be tough.
Yeah, you can't play 2 5s in the NBA. I mean, even though Vucevic is a better shooter than Howard, you really can't play both of them at the same time.
Right. I mean, this isn't completely comparable, but Pekovic from the T-Wolves was so good for a couple of years, and then they got Karl Anthony Towns, and now Pekovic is the third string center and doesn't even play any minutes whatsoever. So, I mean, you could kind of do the same thing. Vucevic would be a solid trade piece too. I think a lot of teams would take him.
Pekovic. Somebody should try and buy low on him.
Right. Yeah, so you could do that.
A good yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just sick of Dwight Howard being a little baby.
Yeah, that's been a recurring theme throughout Dwight Howard's career.
Yeah. So we'll get into some actual interesting things now with the playoffs, but still more drama.
Well, than people.
So Kyle Lowry, point guard of the Raptors, obviously. Great game last night. Dropped 35. Played good the game before, game 3. Played good at the end of Miami series. So he's starting to hit his stride. But I think it was the second game. Maybe it was the first. But he walked out 2 minutes before halftime. Walked off the bench into the locker room, and he said it was to decompress. So people ate him alive for this. That was pretty to old basketball players. I heard Steven Jackson just rip him apart for doing this.
Steven Jackson, really
yeah, right.
Talk about team chemistry.
The model of a great teammate.
Yeah.
And then we find out also that Kyle Lowry, I don't know if he actually did this or just thought about doing it, but said it to someone and word got out. But he wanted to ask Tyronn Lue, who's the coach of the Cavs, to watch Game 1 of the Warriors-Thunder series with them. And obviously they're in a 7-game series right now, battle with the Cavs, so why would you ask the opposing coach to watch? I know if you're friends, that's fine, but maybe wait till the series is over. So it's been more of a problem of leadership, I guess. He's the leader, even though he probably wouldn't be if they brought in a veteran. And he's the best player on their team, probably 1 or 1A at least. So, I don't know. This is something you really don't want to see from your star player. Luckily, he's answered the bell, and being that the series is tied 2-2, this probably won't be as big of an issue. But if they got swept, I can promise you we'd be hearing about this for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't argue with the results. Maybe he just needs 2 minutes to chill at the end of every half or something.
Right.
And that's what makes Kyle Lowry score 35 points. But I think you're right. I think it's one of those situations where people don't really care how the sausage gets made as long as it tastes good.
Right.
So if you're winning games, then people don't care, and if you're losing games, they scrutinize every little thing. And so I mean, just in terms of the Raptors in general, I mean, I thought watching the first two games looked totally outclassed. Like, it just looked like it was going to be another Cavs-Hawks series. Like, it would be like an easy sweep. But I give a lot of credit to the Raptors and a lot of respect to their fans, like, for kind of willing their team to a couple of big victories in games 3 and 4.
Yeah, the pressure was 110% on the Raptors, and now it's completely on the Cavs, and the Raptors have nothing to lose. So they can sneak one out in Cleveland. They got a very good chance to win this series. The problem I have with Kyle Lowry is, being that he is the leader and the go-to guy on the team, if I was a player on that team and we were down 12 with 2 minutes to go in the first half, and then I see him walk into the locker room because he can't handle the way he's playing, and then I see that we're down 20 going into halftime, I'd probably have some words with him. I don't know. I wouldn't like to see my leader just walk off the court because he can't handle the way he's playing. It's not about the way he's playing, it's about the way we're playing. I don't care if he goes 0 for 30 and we win by 20, or he goes 10 for 10 and we lose by 20. It doesn't matter either way. We win or we lose. It doesn't matter how he plays. So he made that completely about himself, and I'm not a big fan of that. That's some Dwight Howard kind of stuff right there. It's a team sport. There's 5 players on the court at all times. You gotta play as 5 or you're not gonna win. And that's the way he acted was not the way you want to see a star player and leader act. But he got it together when he went back to Toronto, played great in both games, and now they're tied 2-2 against a team that a lot of people thought was invincible. So luckily he got it together, but if he didn't, he probably would have been roasted for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it, like, with that Cavs-Raptors game, like, with Game 4 last night. It closed a lot at the end. Like, I don't know, the Raptors had a lead of over 20. It was like 77-54 or something. Like,
yeah.
I turned it off. And then I turned it back on at the end. It was like a 6-point game. So, like, I mean, I don't know. Not that we should be expecting the Raptors to win more than one game. Like, it's just, that to me means the Cavs are still heavy favorites in the series. Like,
yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, Toronto hasn't lost at home yet in the postseason. They're a very good team at home, and they're very, very, very bad on the road. So this is pretty much going as expected for, like, if you looked at the way they both played. I don't think this is too much to worry about for the Cavs either, which we're about to talk about. You want to just get into that right now?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so the debate for this next question is who has the better big three? The Warriors with Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, or the Cavs with LeBron, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving. So that's the overall debate, but we're also going to talk about both series and what's happening in the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. So let's first start with the question, who's the better big three? So Jonah, you can go first if you want.
I think, I don't know, I mean, it's a tough question, obviously. I think I'm going to go with the Warriors big three, even though they obviously haven't played as well in this round of the playoffs, like, that's for sure. But I think the results during the season kind of speak for themselves. Those three guys, like, just as a cohesive unit, play to each other's strength and play together so well. I don't know, like, it lifted Steph to, like, the greatest offensive season of all time. And then Draymond obviously is, like, the all-time great, like, do-it-all. He's, like, that kind of model of a player.
Right.
So I think with that big three, it doesn't really fit into, like, traditional positional mold super well. But I think that's what makes them so valuable. Like, Draymond can guard any position pretty much. And so that big three, I think a value with that big three is that it gives you the flexibility to play, like, basically any two other guys with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's super valuable for a team to have. So even though, like, if you're looking at, like, the most recent results, that would tell you that the Cavs victory is better. But I think in terms of just how well they play together, I mean, it's only recently that, LeBron, Love, and Kyrie have, figured out how to play together as a cohesive unit. So,
right.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cavs victory necessarily overtake the Warriors if they did eventually meet in the finals. But I think, to me, I like the Warriors victory better, and I'd rather have that still the lineup.
Yeah. So originally I thought the Cavs, but the more I think about this question, the more nuances there are and the different answers you can come up with. So with what you said, cohesively, the Warriors' big three is by far the best. No three players in the NBA, even not just in this matchup, no three players can play together the way those three can and gel with each other and have that sort of commitment to each other. So that puts them a step ahead. But then the way I was looking at it originally, it was just strictly off talent. So take the best player on the Cavs, which is obviously LeBron. Take the best player on the Warriors, which is obviously Steph, and compare them. And this was kind of what we did last week, I think, with our debate of who we'd rather have. But I think, let's just say for this purpose, that's a wash, that LeBron and Steph both are going to give your team way more than you could ever even desire. So then you move to next best players. Well, let's just go big guys, I guess. So Kevin Love and Draymond. Draymond's better than Kevin Love. I still think that. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, Kevin Love's really played really bad the last two games, but that theoretically Kevin Love is pretty good. So Draymond and Kevin Love are close, but Draymond's definitely better. So then it comes to Kyrie and Klay, and I think Kyrie's a decent amount ahead of Klay in terms of talent level. So that's what just gives me the little edge with the Cavs. But if you gave me any combination of these six players whatsoever, I'd be the happiest person ever as a coach. So there's really no wrong answer. They're both great, and I'd love to see both of them in the finals again. Fully healthy, obviously. But yeah, I like your answer, and I can also see the Cavs as well. So it's close.
Yeah, I mean, I think the argument for the Cavs kind of, I think you can look at this question two different ways, and it will give you two different answers. Like, if you look at overall talent level, just adding up the individual talents of the players, then you can certainly make a strong argument that the Cavs would be ahead of the Warriors, no doubt. If you're looking at which is a better unit, then
it's the Warriors.
I think probably the Warriors have the edge there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it depends how you play them with other lineups. I mean, if you had a 3-on-3 game between those teams, first of all, I'd pay a lot of money to see that. But I think I don't even know who I would pick to win that matchup. I think that'd be the test of it.
Oh, it'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Kyrie, I was also going to compare, guards. Well, it's kind of hard because the Warriors almost have three guards with Draymond, and the Cavs have, two, one big kind of, one guard, and one everything. So it's kind of hard to compare that way, but I don't know. I mean, Steph and Kyrie are, two of my favorite players to watch in the NBA, just by the way they handle the ball and make plays. LeBron is the best player in the NBA still and probably will be for quite some time. Klay's got the best jump shot. Draymond is so much fun to watch because he's so energetic and just punch you in the mouth if you hit him. They're just so much fun.
Kick you in the balls.
Yeah. Apparently he shook Steven Adams' hand. He shook Steven Adams' hand afterwards to apologize.
I was watching this kind of super clip or whatever of there's a whole bunch of clips of Draymond doing that thing with his legs, kicking motion, just when he does random plays, when he's tracking the basket.
Yeah, it was over 140 times or something that he did this year.
Right. So maybe it's just a Draymond thing, and he just happened to catch Steven Adams in an unfortunate area, but but either way, it speaks to the intensity of Draymond Green.
Yes. Yeah,
I think is what the Warriors are going to need to see a lot more of if they want to ultimately win this series against OKC.
Yeah, I mean, he had 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists last night, 2 nights ago.
Yeah, we're gonna need to see more than that.
Yeah. So let's start. We'll talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference Finals first. So before we do, LeBron, as we've really harped on this in this series of podcasts, he was terrible early on, like right before the playoffs. Me and Jonah were so far off the Cavs bandwagon, it was unreal. And then Tyronn Lue apparently got a hold of him. So I guess when LeBron went to South Beach and worked out with Wade over a couple days off, and then was talking about Wade and talking about having like a big 5 with all of his friends and all that, Tyronn Lue basically told him, dude, shut the hell up. And that got LeBron's attention big time. And that is basically when he turned it on. So LeBron did not trust David Blatt farther than he could throw him. That was the worst relationship between star player and coach I've ever seen. That was just absolutely terrible. And then Tyronn Lue comes, who supposedly was handpicked by LeBron. I don't know if I buy that, but I'm sure that LeBron liked him going in anyways.
It was certainly a strong influence.
Yeah. You're not going to pick someone LeBron can't stand, obviously. So there was already a little bit of respect, but I think Tyronn Lue coming in, demanding that respect from LeBron, and actually acting like a coach instead of a friend, which is exactly what Spoelstra did, was a coach to him. And even though there was some headbutting, they had a great relationship, but he was a coach, not a friend. And that's what LeBron needs, because he tends to get a little full of himself, I guess I could say. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool that Tyronn Lue basically told the best player in the NBA, you need to shut the hell up or else you're not going to play, kind of thing. That was pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, and I think that's been a big reason why the Cavs have played so well, is because they have a better system for their best player.
Right.
And I think that's been huge. I mean, that's not the only reason. A big reason is that they've kind of figured out how best to deploy Kevin Love, which is a big thing. They didn't really know what they were doing with that. And the trade where they gave up Wiggins for him was starting to look pretty bad. But Steve Lyons just loves the 5 that they've been using. You can't play those all the time, but it's a very useful tool to have in your pocket, I guess.
Yep.
And so I think you got to give a lot of credit to Tyronn Lue, not only for kind of keeping LeBron in his place as a player, but for finding some new things to do with the offense. I mean, I don't think Blatt was nearly as bad a coach as kind of his reputation was. I just think if you kind of clash with the best player on your team, then you're just not going to have success, no matter how good a coach you are.
Yeah, I don't think he was a good fit for the roster, even with or without LeBron. He wasn't he's a Thibodeau kind of coach where he's fundamentally sound, and you go in this spot, you go in that spot, and that wasn't that kind of roster.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't even be mad. If the Knicks had hired him, he was the top candidate for the Knicks job, which ultimately went to Jeff Hornacek. But I don't know, the Knicks were criticized a lot when they were considering Black. I thought that would have been a great hire.
Yeah, I don't mind him.
But anyway, to the current Cavs Raptors series, I think that the Cavs just kind of have more things they can do than the Raptors do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know, I would expect the Cavs to win the next 2 games. That's my prediction. Cavs 6.
Yeah, I agree with that prediction, but I also have a huge problem with what the Cavs did really last night because it was closer. So LeBron was 0 of 1 for the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, which, looking at that number, that seems wow, are you serious? Your best player took 1 shot. I don't have a problem with that because he was making plays for his teammates, which is what LeBron does. LeBron isn't going to shoot 20 times in the last 10 minutes to win you the game. He's going to go out and make a play for someone else to help win the game. That's what you do when you play basketball. So I don't have a problem with that. He was getting to the rim, getting triple team and kicking it out for a wide open three. That's what I would want LeBron to do if I was the coach of LeBron. So that's fine. He also had 29 points and didn't. So I think he scored 2 points in the fourth quarter. So he had a great game. The problem I have is there was probably 3 instances where they came out of a timeout, the Cavs, and the play was literally drawn up for J.R. Smith. I don't care who is on your team. I don't care what the situation is. Especially when you have LeBron and Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie is one of the best closers in the NBA, in my opinion, from what I've seen from him. There's no way that ball should be in J.R. Smith's hands. He's taking fadeaway threes coming off like 3 screens. There's no point whatsoever to do that. Maybe in the second quarter, like you're drawing up a play out of timeout, fine. Have him come off and try to hit a 3. But he's not that good. Everybody knows what he's going to do. He's going to take a fadeaway 3. It's not that hard to figure out. He's taken like 200 shots in the playoffs, and they've all been 3s, except for like 20 of them. So, in what planet do you draw up a play for J.R. Smith rather than LeBron and rather than Kyrie? Even if LeBron has the ball in his hands, or if he doesn't, if I was Tyronn Lue, I would have the 3 players that aren't named Kyrie and LeBron stand on one side of the court, run a screen and roll with Kyrie and LeBron, and whoever's open, take it to the rim. Kyrie can hit a pull-up or something. LeBron can get straight to the rim and get fouled. That's how you're going to win the game. They would have easily won the game if they did that. There's no question in my mind they would have.
I almost feel like they're trying to emulate like what OKC and Golden State kind of do,
But why? Them shooting these threes has been like the worst.
It's the point. Like what those teams do is like they'll run timeout plays for Deion Waiters or like for Sean Livingston or like somebody like not one of like the top star players because they have like pretty good depth. Like even OKC does, which is something that they weren't really like depicted to have.
Yeah, they have a bunch of scorers. They both do.
Right. So like you can just run plays and like get somebody a corner 3. But, like I don't know. And I know J.R. Smith pretty well. I'm a Knicks fan. I don't know if you want to be running crucial end-of-game out-of-timeout plays for J.R. Smith. Like, maybe during the game, like, if it's not a super high-pressure situation, you run a couple to like, put in the other team's head.
Absolutely.
But,
that's completely fine.
At the end of the game, you shouldn't be running those plays for J.R. Smith.
Right. And when you're just saying that, I thought of this, but it makes me feel like they're trying to recreate Ray Allen from Miami with what that big 3 had. Because they're like, Ray Allen got a lot of 3s in the end of the fourth quarter in every Miami game that I ever saw. And that seems like what they're trying to do with JR. But they're not a 3-point shooting team. I know that they had that stretch of like making 23s a game, which is probably the worst thing that could have happened to that team because now that's what they think they can
Richard
do.
Jefferson and stuff, though. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all old players that like maybe can hit a couple if they're hot. And J.R. Smith is the streakiest shooter in the history of the universe. So like, his answer.
I have like 2 moments in every series where he scores like 12 points in 2 minutes.
Right. His answer in a press conference after, I think it was Game 3, they asked LeBron like where he learned something, and he was like, you got to learn from good players or something. And he was like, I learned my fadeaway from Jordan. I learned my passing from Magic, like blah, blah, blah. And then he said something about JR. He's like, and JR, who knows where he learned to shoot? And JR Smith's answer was 2K. So that just perfectly explains the way he plays basketball.
It does. No, yeah, he plays basketball like he's controlling himself from a PlayStation controller.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Exactly. So, yeah, I just have a huge problem with the way that they I really thought they should have been up 3-1. I was fully expecting Toronto to win at least 1. I'm not even surprised they won 2, but it was the way that the Cavs finished that game when they pretty much had it in control, and then they just not choked, but they just didn't want to win the game. They didn't run an offense to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, that game was definitely a game of runs. Like, there was, the Raptors came out in front pretty solidly. Like, they were up by, like, 18 or 20, and the Cavs went on, like, a big 11-0 run in the third quarter, and, like, they came back from down, like, 20-some to get it to 6. So it was, like, a streaky kind of game for both teams.
Right.
But that makes me think, I don't know, like, I think the Raptors kind of won a couple of 50-50 type games, and the games that the Cavs won were like dominant performances, so that's why I still give the solid edge to the Cavs here. I thought they were going to sweep the series. I was wrong about that, but I still have a lot more confidence in them than I do in the Raptors.
Yeah, definitely. So, going off the point
with the West.
Yeah, going off the point of me having problems with how LeBron and those guys closed out that game, I also have a problem with the way the Warriors are playing. They're not playing nearly as good as they have all year long, which is a given. And yes, the Thunder are playing really, really, really good basketball. But I think this series is more of what the Warriors are getting away from rather than what the Thunder are doing or causing the Warriors to do. So I know that the Warriors don't take good shots. That's Warriors basketball because they have two of the best shooters that I've ever seen in my life, and they can make impossible shots that should never be taken by anyone not named Steph and not named Clay, which is fine.
I mean, Steph has the green light inside like 35 feet.
Which is fine. He should have the green light as soon as he walks into the arena and puts the sneakers on. I don't care there's no shot that Steph can take where I would actually say that's a bad shot.
Right.
But they're trying to go to isolation, it seems like. I know they're seeking out Enes Kanter because he cannot play defense for his life, and that's fine. You can go one-on-one with him. I love Steph coming off a pick and roll and seeing Enes Kanter and going one-on-one and breaking his legs, which he's done.
His eyes get huge. You can just see it.
Yeah.
Like, look at this.
Yeah, which is fine. That's great. But instead of playing their basketball, which is pass it 15 times to find a wide-open shooter who's going to make a shot, it seems like they're going to give it to one guy, find a mismatch, and just go one-on-one. And, yeah, they got some players on the team that can do that. Like, Steph is fine going one-on-one. Draymond is even okay going one-on-one because he can create for someone else. Iggy, maybe. Harrison Barnes, maybe. But that's not the way that team started out, and that's not the way that team started winning games. And that's what they're doing right now, and they're getting blown out doing it. So, it's not... It's coaching, kind of, but it's also, I feel like they're getting frustrated that they're getting knocked out of some of their sets.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, I think that's been visible with the Warriors in these games that they've lost to Oklahoma City, and even in a couple of the, like, even in the Portland losses, I think you kind of saw this, where this team can kind of get demoralized quickly, and I think that comes as a result of their being based on shooting. And if you have a team heavily based around shooting and it's the best shooting team of all time, you're going to win a lot of games. But, like, when you lose, like when the shooting goes dry, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
And like, there's just no way you're going to win. Like when the team kind of senses that it's off, it just kind of shuts it all down, which I don't really, like, blame, like, the team character for that or anything.
No,
like,
absolutely
no. Do, because, like, I just think they kind of realize what kind of team they are, and if they're not shooting, then they're not going to win.
Right, but, yeah. Shooting's all confidence, and if you're down 20 and you start missing everything, it's going to get worse and worse.
Right, and so I think Oklahoma City, like you said, I don't think, like, obviously they're playing great, but that's because they're really good. Like, I don't think they're doing anything especially different that much.
Right.
I mean, they've gotten big contributions from Robertson. That's been big. So like they have had some other guys step up that aren't necessarily always huge contributors.
Right.
But in terms of like style of play, they're not doing anything different. Like they just kind of run into some games where the Warriors have had trouble shooting, and the Spurs took advantage of that when they played each other at times.
Right.
And so I think they've caught the Warriors on some bad shooting games. I'm predicting this series will be Warriors in 7. That's how I look at it now because I think they're too good of a shooting team.
You said that originally too.
Was that?
That was your pick originally as well in last week's podcast.
Yeah, but I'm sticking with it. Like I think that this is too good of a shooting team. Like they might lose another game. I don't think they're going to lose another game like they lost game 3.
Yeah. So, the way I heard it, I can't remember who said this either. I gotta start writing this stuff down. But, I heard that the Warriors, the Thunder, and the Cavs all have relatively similar talent levels, which I believe. They're all incredibly talented. But the Warriors played up to that talent level all year long. and the Cavs and Thunder didn't even like sniff that talent level, and now the Cavs and Thunder finally are, and the Warriors are still at that talent level, but they're not playing that well. So like they basically reversed what they did in the regular season, and it's got to be the Warriors are tired. I don't care what anyone says, they're tired. There's no way you can't be.
No, yeah.
But
I think that's a big point.
Yeah, but so the Warriors haven't won a game 3 like in the last a lot of postseasons. I don't even know the number, but they haven't won a game 3 this postseason. I don't think they won one last postseason either. And all 4 times or whatever that they did that, they ended up winning the series in 6 games, even when they're down 2-1. So if they lose game 3 and they're down 2-1, they've won 4 of the 4 times that's happened. They've won those 4 times in 6 games. So that would suggest that they're going to win the next 3, which I actually think is going to happen. But I'm going to stick with Warriors in 7 just because, I don't know, let's give OKC 1 more at home. But, yeah, I still think the Warriors are too talented, too good of a shooting team, and they have too good of a coach to let what's happening right now affect them. All it's going to take is one game of Steph to get to 40 or Draymond to start getting his energy and enthusiasm back up and just taking games over. It's going to take that one time, and this series is over.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think the team is too good. Like, I don't think that they're invincible, though.
Right.
Like, I think if they lose tonight, then I think they're gonna have a hard time winning 3 straight against Oklahoma City. Like, I think, I don't know. Like, I think if their backs are against the wall, especially if they play similarly badly how they did in 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think tonight, I think whoever wins tonight is gonna win the series.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's going to be the Warriors. Do you?
Yeah, that's what I think. I just think the Warriors will win tonight. But,
yeah.
I don't know, because OKC's going to have games where like their supporting cast doesn't come through. I don't think Roberson's going to have like 7 great games.
Right.
And
it's so, Waiters has been the one that's really been playing well, which is frustrating because he's not good.
Which is, I don't have a lot of faith in Waiters either.
And Ibaka's been making a lot of threes that he didn't make in the first couple series, which I know has been kind of frustrating the Warriors. But the one thing that everyone said was going to hurt the Warriors was the 2 big lineup of Cantor and Adams, and it literally has been not effective. Like, they've just embarrassed Cantor on the other end.
You can't play those guys together against the board.
Yeah. So all those people that said that big ball was going to beat small ball, so to say, that didn't happen.
I don't think the league works that way anymore. Like, I just don't think.
Yeah. So they've gone to this new.
It's hardly ever true.
Yeah, the way that the Warriors have been playing is to have Draymond guard Roberson so he can kind of just like roam around the paint and just help out. I don't really like that. I'd kind of rather see him just take on the challenge of Durant because you know I hate Harrison Barnes, but anyways, he's a good defender anyways. But Draymond is the alpha dog on the team. If he just basically, not literally, but figuratively, punch Kevin Durant in the mouth for like the first half of a game and just takes him out of the game.
Don't rule it out literally.
Yeah. Well, you never know what can happen. He might get his foot up a little too high, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I would love to see him, just like I'd love to see LeBron. Like, LeBron played pretty solid defense on DeRozan in the second half. I know DeRozan went off in the first half, but still. I would love to see a star like Draymond Green take on the challenge of guarding a star like Kevin Durant, who you know is going to make or break the game, and just win that matchup, and you're automatically going to win. If Draymond holds Kevin Durant to like under 20 points, I guarantee you the Warriors are going to win that game.
Yeah, I would like to see something like that too. I mean, I get the argument for just putting Draymond on the weakest shooter, so you basically can just double everyone else.
Right, yeah, it's like playing 5-on-4.
Right, so like, I like that idea. The problem is, like, that's been difficult for them to execute lately because Roberson has, like, inexplicably started hitting shots. And so, like, if that's, like, I think if you put a defender on, like, say you put Barnes on Andre Roberson, like, I don't think you have a problem with Roberson anymore. Like, not that Barnes is some ace defender, but I think if you just stuck somebody on him, he's not a good enough offensive player that he'd be able to really have that big of an impact.
Right, and I like what they're doing with Clay on Russell. That's been better than what Curry was bringing, just because of size and everything. I wouldn't even mind seeing Harrison Barnes guard Russell. I think that could work if they put Draymond on Durant. Then you have some size problems, I know, other than that. But Serge has been the X factor so far, which I don't expect to continue. And I expect a huge game out of Steph tonight. Like, I expect a solid 40-point outburst from him. Or it's going to be him or Clay. One of them is going to go for 40, I guarantee it, and the other one will have like 25. So that'll be nice to see.
I want to see that, yeah.
I suggest tuning into that one tonight. But do you have anything else with the NBA? Or you want to get to the meat of the podcast?
Yeah, I would love to get some Roger Goodell back.
Yes,
it's one of my favorite
please.
And yours too, I know.
All right, so yesterday there was a 91-page, what do you want to call it, report released by Congress, essentially saying that the NFL, so here's some background. The NFL pledged $30 million to the National Institute of Health for concussion research. This was around the time Junior Seau killed himself, and they figured out that CTE was the problem. So once they signed a contract saying, we will give you $30 million to do whatever you want with it for concussion research. Like, give it to whatever group to do this sort of research. The NIH ended up choosing a Boston University neurologist who had been incredibly critical of the NFL to do this research with the $30 million. At this point, the NFL had already paid 14 of that $30 million, so there was 16 left. And they took that $16 million and said, we're not giving it to you now because you chose this person that we didn't want, who's going to come up with all these things that we're doing wrong that we don't want the public to know. So because of this, now obviously the NFL is under a little bit of fire. The NFLPA took no time to fire back, saying that they created their own science fund to research this stuff because they don't trust the NFL. They're a bunch of bullies. And now we find out that the NFL tried to basically influence Congress, the government, whatever you want to say, NIH, to pose scientists almost as puppets, saying that concussions and football don't have a link. Now, obviously, the reason they're doing this is because they do have a link, and they don't want to be under fire for that. So, of course, once the story breaks, the NFL repledges the $30 million, so the $16 million they have left over. What a surprise there. But yeah, this is just not a good look, especially with Deflategate coming back, where we find out that apparently Goodell might have made up some of the evidence. When he suspended Brady, he said there was a couple reasons why he suspended him, and then there was an appeal, which Goodell placed himself in charge of deciding whether or not the appeal was going to be heard. When he reviewed it, he then denied the appeal and came back with different evidence as to why the suspension was going to be upheld for Brady. So Goodell has been under a little bit of fire here recently, and it's very well deserved. And I think he's not going to come out of this one. At the very least, he's going to be bloodied and beaten if he even comes out of it at all.
Yeah. All right. So I have a few points to make on that. The first is that this continues the theme of Roger Goodell's tenure at the NFL as being like damage control.
Right.
That's been like a lot of what he's done with with everything from the Ray Rice incident to Deflategate to this now, and stuff before that. He's been commissioner for a long time. He's been tasked with basically controlling PR damage and continuing to make sure the owners make money. He's been successful on one of those. And the one thing that he's been successful on, obviously, is keeping the owners happy, making the money, which leads me to my second point, which is that I think that this won't be like the thing that brings him down, like the smoking gun. I just think with all this stuff that's happened already, with him and with all the fire he's been under, and if he hasn't been let go for any of that stuff, I don't think this is going to be the thing that does it. I think he'll be let go when there's evidence that the NFL's revenue is decreasing. And until that happens, which it shows no signs of happening right now, I don't see him being in much trouble in terms of job security. I mean, these rich guys that own the teams, like, they're his employers, not the fans, not the players' association, not the not the coaches, whatever. Like, nobody else except the owners. And so, as long as he continues to keep his 32 employers happy, I think he's going to have a job.
Yeah, so your damage control thing is definitely true, and I see what you're saying about how, like, Ray Rice, that scenario, basically, a lot of people thought that was going to be the end of Goodell just because Ray Rice nearly kills his wife and then gets a 2-game suspension, like, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
So, if you let's look at, so Michael Vick is the dog problem, so let's say animal activists, I guess, they're not all against Roger Goodell, but they're not in favor of Goodell. Then you have women activists, feminists, whatever you want to call them, real people who are, even men, who are not happy with the Ray Rice suspension, which is rightly so. And then now let's say that you have all of politics who are just feel like they're getting punched in the face by Roger Goodell, trying to be made puppets out of to do what he wants. And the word that keeps coming up from everyone is bully. There's a Democratic representative from New Jersey, I think, who brought this issue up of the concussions and saying that Roger Goodell basically, like, storms in the door and tells them, this is what I'm doing, this is where we want this money to go, this is why we're doing this, and this is what's going to happen. It's like you're walking into a room of congressmen and this is what you're telling them, that you're some commissioner of a big league and you think you're the be-all, end-all. So he's made a lot of enemies, and no, it hasn't cost the league money yet, so that is why he's still employed.
Right.
But
I mean, I'm not ruling out the possibility that eventually he will cost the league some money. I just think that until that happens, he has a job.
Right. So I don't know. There's not much the NFL could do that would cause me not to watch their product.
Right.
So,
I know that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Which is why they get that word bully tossed around. The one thing I could see falling in the favor of Goodell losing his position is he's really fighting this Las Vegas thing with the Raiders, and I really think that it could happen. Even if it's not with the Raiders, somebody's going to be in Las Vegas in the next 20 years, and Goodell is really against it. And I think there's some owners, mainly Jerry Jones, who really wants it. So Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft are like the figureheads of this owners association, I guess, if you want to call it, who are like basically the ones that are going to have the decision of if they want Goodell or not, just because they're the two most powerful figures. And I don't think they're... If Las Vegas doesn't go in Jerry Jones' favor, I could easily see Goodell being gone. I originally told Jonah that I thought this was going to be the end of Goodell, but with what he just said, he kind of changed my mind because, like I said, there's nothing that's going to make me not watch their product every Sunday. So, yeah, he'll still have a job, but this is getting a little bit ridiculous with, I mean, CTE is causing a lot of people their lives. Like, we just saw, even though it's not football related, Dave Mira, who used to be a BMXer, just killed himself recently within the last 2 years, and his brain got donated for research, and they found he had CTE. You have Junior Seau, you have the linebacker from the Chiefs that killed his wife and killed himself.
The problem in, like, every sport except, like, baseball and basketball, really, because, like, there's not a lot of concussions in those sports. But, like, I think obviously it's the biggest issue in football. And so, like, they kind of try to distract and, like, well, it's not just football, it's happening in all kinds of other sports, whatever.
Right.
Like, and same thing with, like, I don't know, like, police brutality. Like, well, sometimes police kill white people, too. Like, it's not, like...
Yeah, like, you're looking for the outlier.
Right, you're just, like, distracting from the thing that's actually a problem when you do that.
Yep.
And so, like, I think, I don't know, I mean, the thing to remember with Goodell is that he's, like, very much a politician. Like, anybody in that job is. Like,
yeah, you have to be.
With all the personalities that you have to deal with. I mean, his father was a senator from New York. So, like, he has in his blood. Like
Yeah.
he's a very political and like a very powerful person. And so he's just kind of wheeling and dealing, trying to keep his cards in order, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to do so. And he hasn't shown like a real ability to like adapt to changing circumstances very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there will come a time when he's going to have to be gone, but I don't think we're at that moment until, like, I don't know, until, like you said, people, not necessarily people like us who will always watch, but like more casual fans decide that the NFL is not a thing they should watch.
Right. So a couple things to go off that. I think so. You have part of the pressure put on Goodell, I believe, right now is because Adam Silver and Rob Manfred are two of the best commissioners in baseball and basketball that we've like ever seen in any sport, for that matter. Like, I think Adam Silver just came on and absolutely just crushed his job and did so great with the first couple of years he's been commissioning NBA.
Everybody loves Adam Silver.
Yeah, and Manfred's gotten Selig did it too towards the end, but they've gotten baseball is growing again, which was not happening early on. Revenues increased, TV revenue, like everything. Popularity's increased. There's more kids playing again. So he's done what he's supposed to do. So that puts a little bit of pressure on Goodell because he knows that there's not one fan in this universe that actually enjoys Roger Goodell's company. Which might be, I mean, rightly so and not rightly so. There's some unfairness to that. He's done some things right, but he's missed on a lot of things, which is what a lot of people are going to do in a big situation like that. But the thing that's going to hurt him the most is when parents start not letting their kids play football.
And that's the thing that's starting. I don't think I'd let my kid play football.
Yeah, I like I like the idea of playing flag until you're in high school and then start high school playing well. Like playing padded, I mean. Because then if that happens, the NFL has to get on board with like teaching high school coaches the right way to tackle, head up, all that stuff. Which they've started some programs, but you do them or you don't do them. You teach. There's going to be people that don't teach the right way. There's so little room for error in tackling that could get you dead, essentially. That it's going to be tough to do, but with kids playing Pop Warner football at the age of like 6, when I used to be only playing T-ball and not worrying about getting hit in the head, and then you're going to go from the age of 6 and have a full, I don't know, 10, 12 year football career in the NFL. You're going to be 35 years old, so you're playing 30 years of football, getting your head bashed against someone else every single day almost. That's you're going to get CTE, I can promise you that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that football has to address, like, with young kids, especially kids who's, like, I don't know, like, if you start content like this with people whose brains aren't fully developed, which, like, brains don't fully develop until age, like, 25, so obviously you're going to have people playing before that age, but, like, if you're having, like, young kids with this stuff, there's going to be issues. I mean, just today, did you see this quote from the GM of the Bills?
No.
Yeah, Doug Whaley, who's the GM of the Bills, said, like, he was asked, like, about this problem about concussions and everything, like, probably because of this report. And he said, like, fundamentally, football is a very dangerous sport that humans probably shouldn't be playing.
And here's a guy whose paycheck is coming directly from that sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably because he's just so demoralized by running the Bills that he just doesn't want anybody to play football.
But he has to talk to Rex and Rob Ryan every single day of his life. Yeah, that's probably the problem.
Right. So, but, like, I don't know, I think you're seeing an increasing awareness with people in the game that something has to change. And I think either Goodell has to be a part of that change or he has to.
Right, and I mean he definitely is taking steps to make it safer. Like, you know, we won't have a kickoff in, I bet you, 2 years. We won't see a kickoff anymore. And the helmets are safer. There's penalties now that are gonna be pretty serious for helmet to helmet. possibly ejections like we see in college. So, I mean, it's getting there, but there's always going to be a problem with CTE. You can never protect a person playing football from a concussion no matter what you do unless you make it two-hand touch or flag, because they're going to get hit and something's going to happen, and it's always going to be that way. But I don't understand the meteoric rise in concussions that we've had over the last couple of years. Like, CTE wasn't even known, and then all of a sudden it's like the most prevalent thing ever because everyone's getting concussions.
I think it's probably, like, I don't think this is just starting to happen. I think it's just starting to get diagnosed.
Right. But, I mean, people are getting bigger, faster. Yeah, there's bigger, faster, stronger people, too, so. But, I don't know. He's not going to lose his job yet. We'll see him around for more years to come. But, you got what's next? I mean, is he going to go make a veto of a presidential order because he doesn't agree with it? Like, you can't exert your power over every single human being in this universe.
Right. I mean, unless you're Donald Trump.
Well,
someone's gonna see that happen.
We if we get to November and that's still a problem, we might have to take a week off from sports and just have you and David and a couple other people just debate politics for a little while, because that'll be terrible.
Yeah. Certainly. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah. All right,
we know Trump loves Tom Brady.
Of course. Who doesn't love Tom Brady, right? Only, like, sane people.
So I think we see the Deflategate thing drop completely.
Yeah, it would. Goodell would be, like, lynched or something, and there would be no problems for the Patriots. They'd just automatically win every title from there on out.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy for a guy who's from New York. Like,
yeah, what is that all about?
For him to be such a Patriots backer like this,
right. Although he has certainly proven he doesn't know anything about sports.
Who, Trump?
Yeah. He just was saying Colin Montgomery was like, he was an old golfer, was staying at Trump Towers, and he took a picture in front of it, and then Trump tweeted at him afterwards, like, it's so nice to have such an incredible golfer here who's won so many majors, and Colin Montgomery is literally known for not winning any major ever. Like, he's known as the best player to never win a major. So that, like, that's golf, but he also doesn't know stuff about other things too, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby Knight endorsed him, so, maybe he's learning.
Right, and they have the same personality, so that's great. All right, so before we end this, just because this just happened recently, well, there's two things, but we're going to talk just for like 5 minutes about college. So, you know how colleges don't have any money to pay their student athletes? Well, UCLA just signed a $280 million 15-year contract with Under Armour. So there's the money they don't have. This is the highest ever. The next highest is like, I think it goes Ohio State, somebody, and then Texas. They're all like in the ballpark of $250 or something, I think. But yeah.
So is Michigan. They just signed a big new deal with
Yeah. So yeah, but this is
Nike from Adidas.
Right. Nike was the one that has been up there, obviously, and then this is Under Armour's first big jump. But that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for a college to wear a shirt, basically.
Yeah, you saw what Josh Rosen said, right?
Yes. Yeah. Thank God he said that.
Yeah. So Josh Rosen, the sophomore quarterback for UCLA. Well, I'm a big fan of him as a football player. I think he's a really good NFL quarterback.
They said he was going to be the first pick in this draft if he was eligible to come out.
Yeah, same thing with kind of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But, so Josh Rosen, who is Jewish, by the way, this would be a big step for Jewish football players to get the football pick in the draft. I'm not sure if it was Twitter or Instagram or what kind of social media it was, but he commented and said, like, still amateurs though, like with one of those like big games. And it just speaks to the fact that like these kids make so much money for these schools and they don't get any cut of like the freaking $280 million that they get from apparel companies. It's kind of crazy. You think at least they could give them a cut of the apparel money, like it's not the ticket money, but you know.
Dude, just give them $5 a month, and I'll shut up about it. But stop trying to tell me you don't have any money. At least come up with a different excuse.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like, I don't know, especially in these big-time schools. I can understand if you're like a D3 school. Like,
Yeah. Of course.
Extra money laying around to pay your asses.
Yeah,
like,
a D3 school isn't going to go pay a golfer the $1,000 a month. Like, okay, I understand that. But, like, UCLA just made almost $300 million for over 15 years. You really can't go give a kid a couple $100, couple $1,000?
Right, and that money, it's not that they just got that money. Like, it's generated by the football player.
Yeah, exactly. They're able to do it because of the basketball team and their football team, essentially. And then the other teams are making money, but they're not astronomical like basketball and football.
Yeah,
There's a way to do it, but
the way it is.
Yeah, whatever. So we'll end by, I have a great word of advice for you. Jonah already knows this, but he's going to hear it again. So what you need to do right at the end of this podcast is go onto Google and find a blank March Madness bracket, and then just right in the top left corner, the very first box, you just write Duke and a 1 right next to it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take them all the way to the national title and then be the champion. And you can make up the entire rest of the bracket. I don't care what you write. But just make sure Duke is right in the center right there. And then submit it about 1,000 times on ESPN, on CBS Sports, to your friends, wherever you submit your March Madness brackets. And I'll take a cut of that money in March. So we'll see you next week.
We have a $5 bet, you and I.
Right.
Duke, I have literally anyone else.
Yes.
National championship. So we'll see how that goes.
And I would have done more, but Jonah only likes $5 bets, so that's where we are right now.
I like $5 bets. It keeps me humble.
And he's also about to lose 2 of them in hockey, but whatever.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit worried here. I thought they were going my way. Now I'm down 3-2 in both of them. I'm in trouble.
That's what I'm saying. All right, so thank you for listening. Please remember to share this wherever you want to share it again, and we will be back next week for some more fun, hopefully.